Hello, everyone. Blaine Austin here at Sewing Machines Plus, and welcome to day one of the Serger Soiree. And man, are we going to have a good time this week? We're going to be here for 4 days, and we're going to talk all about Sergers and overlocks, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. But today, day one is all about Husky Viking. Tomorrow will be FAF. And then Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to be all about baby lock. We're going to have a ton of great Sergers on the show. And naturally, we got some great pricing for you as well. But before we get too deep into this show, I got to say a big shout out to some of the SMP Nation watching today. Hey, we have Cheryl Knapp in Colorado watching. We have Marie Luna out here in California. Danae Wilson, also out here in California. We have Melanie Symington in Illinois. Ellie Dugan. Is that Dugan? Dugas. Yeah, it's Ellie Dugas. She's in Louisiana. Oh, my old stomping grounds. Sharon Crane. Sharon Crane in Indiana. And then Kathy Blau in Michigan. So we got people all over the nation, Kyle.
Everywhere.
Everybody say hi to Kyle. He's in here with me this morning.
Everybody.
And I tell you what, I'm super excited about it. Now, we do have a big announcement to make. So as y'all know, we do a lot of events. And we had talked about July the 10th, we were going to do our live auction.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Okay. Scratch that out. We've been getting overwhelmed with emails saying, y'all do it sooner. So guess what we're going to do?
Doing it.
We're going to do it April the 24th.
24th.
Thursday, April the 24th is going to be our live auction. Now, here's how it works. Not everybody can come. This is a VIP only auction, and you have had to make a purchase with Sewing Machines Plus, be in our system as a purchaser before you can actually register. So Kyle and his team will send an email out saying, you can register here. You go sign up for it. Once you sign up for it, we go through all the names and make sure they're in our database. And then we send you a link to get into the show on the 24th. And basically, it is a VIP viewing only, isn't it, Kyle?
Yep, that's right.
And we have to do that for a few reasons. We have to make sure there's no manufacturers in the show. We have to make sure there's no other dealers in the show because the pricing is so crazy, we would get in trouble.
Yeah. And you should get the email this week. So be on the lookout for it.
All right. So you heard it right from Kyle. You should keep a lookout for that email. If you don't get the email, that probably means you're not in our database that you haven't purchased. Yeah. Right, Kyle?
This email is the one to everyone to sign up. Then we filter everyone.
Then we filter. Yes. Okay. So you can just go buy a gift card if you've never purchased, just so you can get in the auction.
$5 gift card.
Because I'm telling you, the pricing on this auction is unreal. And this is our third one. We've done it 2 years ago, two years back to back. And if many of y'all were probably in it, you probably saw the great pricing. And we sold out of machines both times. And this year, I don't know how many we're going to have, Kyle, but we're getting a list put together of the machines that'll be in the auction. Yeah. So it will be. We got a lot of stuff, and here's the thing: it makes up. Some are brand new in box. Some have been opened up and used in events or at trade shows. Some were trade-ins that traded in from customers to trade in to get new machines. But we'll tell you each one what the history is of that machine. And everything we sell has got a full warranty on it from SMP. So it'll be warranted. Yep. And so it's just like buying a new machine, basically, because everything goes through our service center except for the new in box. But everything else, if the box has been opened, it goes through the service center. All the service techs go through it, check it off, make sure it sews good, and then we get it in the auction. So that's how it works, doesn't it, Kyle?
Yep.
So it works out pretty good. So, and you get to bid. So you get that we have a starting bid, and you just get to bid, and it's a lot of fun. Last year we had it opened up to where we had people, a live audience in the classroom, and we had virtual.
We made paddles and everything.
Yeah, they would hold their paddle up to bid. It was fun, but we're not doing that this year. We're only going to do it virtually. So You local people, you just have to stay home and watch
Yeah.
and try to bid there. And then naturally, we have Hoopfest is June the 9th through the 13th. We're all ready to go for that. That'll be coming up before you know it. And that'll be a full week of embroidery, everything about embroidery. And we've got this year, one thing that we did a little differently. We're going to have 2 hours each day of just pure education. And we've got 2 1-hour sessions each day with an educator they're going to come in and talk a little bit about something about embroidery, do some sort of, teach you a tip or have some really cool techniques. They will be doing that. And so that'll work out pretty good. Who's that? Barbara Bond?
Barbara Bond.
Well, good morning to you, Barbara.
Ryan.
And but y'all, we got a treat this morning. I tell you what, we have Mickey Hudson going to be here with us today. Now, Mickey is a rare example of a natural teacher. She has boundless energy and contagious enthusiasm, and she has a gift for inspiring students to tap into their creativity, energy, and her unbridled excitement and passion for sewing generates excitement and helps students lose their fear of trying something new. Now, Mickey has 25 plus years, working in the sewing industry. She has worked in a dealership teaching classes, as well as traveling to teach at sewing shows and expos. Teaching and traveling has only helped her realize that her greatest pleasure is sharing her love and knowledge of sewing with her students and seeing their joy, excitement, and confidence. And you know what? We are super excited to have Mickey. Now, she's been on one of our shows before, but hey, we got her all day today, and we are going to highlight some of the top Sergers with Husky Viking. And we're going to start out today with that S600, that Amber Air. And so y'all give a big SMP welcome to Mickey Hudson. Hey, Mickey.
Hey, how you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm excited to talk about Sergers.
Well, I know you are, and we're excited to have you here. And I know we got you all day today. So how this is going to work, everybody, Mickey's going to go through, give you some really good tips and tricks about each serger. At the end of her presentation on each one, we're going to have a little Q&A, so y'all can hold all your questions if you have a question about that machine that she's showing. And then I'll come in, we'll ask her, we'll tell you how you can buy one and what the specials are. And we'll just kind of do that all day until we get through all these. And so, Mickey, I'm going to let you take it away for this first one. Y'all give her a big welcome.
Thank you. Woo. So good morning, everybody. My name is Mickey Hudson, and today we're going to start with the Husky Viking Amber Air 600. Now, the Amber Air 600, let me pop over and let you take a look at that. The Amber Air 600 is a 2, 3, 4, and 5 thread serger. It has the beautiful color touch screen. It is a one-touch electronic air threader, so I'm going to show you that. It does have this exclusive sewing advisor, and what that means is you tell it what kind of fabric you're working with, and it will set your tensions and set everything up for you. It has exceptional lighting. It has a beautiful space. It has a free arm. It has 26 fabulous stitches. It also has precise thread control. I'm going to be showing you that a little up close and personal in a little bit. It also has a knee lift. And I have to laugh because I am from the generation that had the knee powered sewing machines. So when I first got a knee lift, every time I would touch it, I was trying to make it go, and that's not how it works. But I'm going to show you how it works and how fabulous it is. It also comes with an extension table. It has speed control. It has differential feed, which is an absolute must in any serger. And I will talk about that a little bit as well. It also has a reinforced base. And I cannot tell you how exciting that is. So one of the things is I always used to serge at full blast with one arm on my serger to hold it from bouncing. This does not move, no matter how fast, no matter how heavy my fabric is. It just is That reinforced base is so solid. It's fantastic. So one more thing is you can also save stitches. You can save up to 30 stitches. And where that comes in so fabulous is if you have a gathering foot or you do a lot of gathering, you can program in exactly the way you like it and then save it as a gathering. I'm on my personal one, I have a light, medium, and heavy gather, so I'm just all set. I don't have to fuss with it. But any stitch that you have changed for whatever reason, you can save it and it's always there for you. Everything's all set. It's awesome. All right, so let's get into some of the features of it. For those of you that are unfamiliar, the color touch screen, I'm going to open this up real quick. Believe me, I will show you everything. But the color touch screen, it does make it extremely convenient. So here are the names of my stitches. If I come down here, I have all the 26 stitches available, and I can just scroll up to the one that I'm looking for. In this case, I want the 4th thread overlock. And where this is so convenient is everything is at my fingertips. If you do not have a color touch screen, all this information will be in your owner's manual, but I love personally having it right here. The first thing it's showing us is what needs to be threaded. The little dots are where the threads are going to go, and the little dash means there's no thread in the last one. It also gives us a visual of the stitch of what color is doing what part of the stitch, which is extremely helpful if you are new to serging. And one of the other things too is it has all this other information as well. So I'm going to come over to the information one. That little I there stands for information. So whenever you see that little lowercase I, that is going to give you information. And here it's recommending how to set everything up. So first of all, it wants the A table. This is the table. This is the A table, and this is used for the overlock stitch. It has room for our blade, so when we're cutting fabric. When we are doing a cover hem, for instance, we do not want the blade. We want that flat because we are doing a cover hem on a flat surface. I will go over that a bit as well. And everything is labeled extremely easy, so I know which A and B. And let me just copy you back in here. And I am working. I love working on camera because I'm always at weird angles. All right, stop. Be there. All right, there we go. So I'm always at an angle. So this is going to let us know about the cutting blade. So this is the knife here. And if we take a look at this little screw, this little nickel color screw, that is where the blade is. So it wants, sorry about that, it wants the blade up. So we'll just come in, we'll put this blade up, and that way when the fabric comes through, it will cut the fabric as we go. All right. The next thing it's going to show us here is this little guy. You're either going to see an arrow going up because it wants it off, or an arrow going down because it wants it on. And I'm going to zoom in real quick a little bit because I have it on at the moment. And this is called the 2-thread converter. And what its job is there are times when you're going to use this looper, but it is not going to be threaded. So when it needs to be in action, but it's not threaded, the little ballet that's going on within a serger, it needs to think that it is threaded. And that's where this little guy comes in. So to put it off, I'm just going to push back just ever so slightly and lift it up. There's a little hook on the end here. I don't know if you can see it, but it will fit into that hole of the upper looper. So it just snaps in, but when it's not in use, it will just come and live back here. It is built in, which I absolutely love. Because I am not the most organized in my sewing room. I'm more like the Eleanor Burns. I just throw things around. So I love that I don't have to keep track of it. All right, so let's go back up and take a look here. This is going to be your stitch finger. What is a stitch finger and what is the difference between the N and the R? Let's talk about that. So right in here, I'm going to lower my blade as well so that you can kind of see this a little bit better. But this is, so here is the R. The R is for a rolled hem and the N is for normal stitching. And this is going to control your stitch finger. That is this guy right here. So this little guy, if I move it back to the R position for the rolled hem, you'll see he moves back out of the way. And if I go back to the normal, he's up in the position. And what he's doing is when you're serging and you're not rolling the edge, you want the stitches to come right to the edge of the fabric. And that's what that does. It kind of keeps the thread right at the edge before it feeds off, so it keeps it nice and crisp right on the edge. And when I'm in the rolled hem, what I want the stitch finger out of the way, because in that case, I want the thread to come and just squish all that in and roll that fabric in. So the stitch finger is awesome for getting that nice pristine edge or getting that rolled edge. All right. All right. Let's see. So I know for some of you, this is probably review, and for some of you, this is brand new information. So it's very exciting. So I'm going to put my blade back up. I'm going to come back up and show you the screen again. So this is the presser foot pressure found right here. It is usually a normal, but if I'm doing something with a heavy wool or a lightweight silk or satin, that's where I may change my presser foot pressure. And the pressure foot pressure is how much it's holding down, how tightly it's holding down. And then lastly, but not leastly, is the upper looper. So I'm going to come down and talk about the loopers in a minute. But this is your upper looper and it is in the A position. So I'm going to come down here and let's get in here and talk about some of this stuff. Okay. So when it comes to the loopers, in a sewing machine, we have a bobbin. And in a serger, we have loopers that are taking place of the bobbin. And this is that little ballet that I was talking about. So when everything's working and everything's threaded properly, it does this little ballet and it makes gorgeous stitches. But if you've never used a serger before, or if you're new to them, or just the idea of the loopers are freaking you out, let's talk about them a little bit. So in a cover stitch machine, which the Husqvarna Viking Amber Air 600 is a 5-thread. So it does have a cover stitch. It does do a chain stitch, and that's why we have 3. If you don't have a cover stitch serger, you only have 2. But this is the cover hem looper. This is the lower looper. And this is the upper looper. So if you're looking at alphabetical order, we've got cover hem, lower, upper. All right. So it's in alphabetical order from front to back. The other thing is the upper looper, as you can see, he's the only one that comes up. The other 2 loopers always stay below. But if you're having trouble remembering which one's which, just keep them in alphabetical order, front to back, cover, lower, upper. All right. Now, when this is the A and the B, so when it says it wants the upper looper in the A position, he's staying up. But if you're doing a cover hem, for instance, we want that looper down. We're going to put that flat cover on it, and we don't want him up there poking holes in things. So one of the things about this to switch over from a overlock to a cover stitch is so easy. And like Blaine said, I've been doing this a long time. And I remember when I used to want to stab my eyes with a fork trying to get over to a cover stitch. But this is how easy this is to move over to a cover stitch. I'm just going to bring the looper down. I'm going to flip it over. That's it. I was jumping up and down, so excited when this machine came in, because the Husky Viking Amber Air S600, oh, it was so easy. So I was just very, very excited. All right. Now, this is a one-touch electronic air threading. So for those of you that are really freaked out about the idea of threading a serger, air threading is the way to go, because a regular serger that you manually thread, it's not that it's difficult. It's once you get used to it, it's really not much different than threading a sewing machine. But with the air threader, I can either thread a sewing machine or I can push a button. I'm a push a button girl. So I like technology. I like the ease of it. But that is not to scare you away from a regular serger, because we'll talk about more of that about later today. But I want to show you just how easy and awesome this is. So one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and thread. I have already threaded my needles because they are very much like a sewing machine. You're just going to thread it into the tension and into your needles. And then when it comes to the serger for the loopers, everything is color coded for you. So it is extremely easy. It's letting me know that the next color here is, so I've got one needle is the yellow, second needle is the blue. The next color is going to be this red. So I'm going to follow the red right in here. And this is the pre-tension. And it's going to come on down. And I personally like to give it a little dental floss. I want to make sure it's in the tension. And then if I come down here, this is where I'm going to thread the air threading. All right. But there's a couple of things that we need to do first. Right now we are in serging, and we need to tell it we are going to threading. Now the threading is going to go in through here. So there's some tubing in there that we need to line up. We're going to turn our hand wheel always toward you unless you are releasing a stitch. But as you can see, it puts those little tubes in there. And I'm going to go ahead and just cut the thread so that's not fuzzy on the end. And we're going to put this in, and it usually goes in about 1/4 of an inch or so. All right. And you want to make sure, and you want to make sure that you have some slack. I see so many people that will put their thread in there and then it doesn't go through. It needs enough thread to go all the way through. So give it a little slack. My hands are very dry, so I'm snagging on everything. And what's going to happen is it's going to come and shoot right through. Oh, I want to put you back up. Sorry. Oh, hold on. So you cannot do anything with the tubes on. So we'll do that. We'll put the tubes. So we've got it for the electronic air threading, the one-touch electronic air threading. So we need those threading tubes back on. All right. So I've got this threaded. I've got my threading tubes on, and he's going to come shooting out of the upper looper. So right there. Woohoo! You want to see it again? I'm going to zoom in a little closer because that is my favorite part. I still get excited. So let me pull it out. It's going to come shooting out right here. Woohoo! It's so exciting. And we're going to do the same thing for the lower looper. So let me get back up here. I'm going to come up here to my pre-tension. I'm going to come straight down, give it a little dental floss. I'm going to come into the green. Now, one of the things too that you see, I have these different colors kind of going with the different colors. That is for your benefit. When I'm serging, I use whatever colors I want. But when I was new to a serger and I got my first serger, it was recommended to use the matching colors while I was getting to know my serger. And it helped me figure out what was doing what. And it's one of those things, the more you know what's doing what, the easier it is to troubleshoot, the easier when you're starting. There we go. Oh, sorry, you didn't get to see that. Let's do it again. So let me come over here because the shooting it out part is really the fun part. So he's going to shoot out right here. See, there it is. So extremely easy to thread. Now, once we're done threading, I do want to switch it back over to the serging portion of it so that it gets the threading tubes out of the way and the loopers will now move again. Now, this is a little tip here is often I see people struggling to try and bring this looper thread up. And one of the things is you don't have to. Just give him a trim. He can stay down below. He's fine. As soon as the stitches start, he's going to automatically bring himself up. So don't stress over the threads that are down below. Just give him a trim. I just like to make sure that they don't catch in the door and they're out of your way. Okay? So now let's take a look at the stitch. Saw something flash by my eyes there. All right, so we have a free arm here. We have a free arm here, which is great when you're going to do necks, sleeves, pocketbooks, anything where you have a small area. It does come with this table to make it a larger area. But my favorite thing is it also comes with this extension table. And it just makes me so excited. So there are built-in legs. You just pull the legs down. And he just slides right into place here. And it's one of those things, I do quite a few YouTube videos and stuff, and you will often hear me talk about a flat surface. A flat surface is going to help your sewing because even just something as small as, this hanging down, this is going to add weight and it's going to start interfering with your stitches and stuff like that. So I personally recommend having the flat surface. It takes the weight. It allows your Husqvarna Viking to do what it is designed to do, which is make beautiful stitches. All right. And let me come back here. I do want to show you too. We talked about this precise positioning. So I'm trying to figure out where I want my camera to go. This precise positioning. For those of you that have ever serged and all of a sudden you're working with a different fabric and you're getting loops on the end or it's puckering, on the edge or stuff like that. And everybody goes right for their tension. It is not the tension, it is your blade. And so this has a built-in precise adjustment to fix that problem. So let me see if we can create that problem. So what I'm going to do is this is just a mid-weight quilting fabric. Or not it's a mid-weight bottom weight fabric. So it's a nice little twill. Another thing that it comes with is this little waste tray. So all the little trash will go right in there. And it's letting me know my presser foot is up. This is another tip for y'all is when it comes to a serger is like the microwave in your kitchen. And I've said that for years and years and years. It's quick, it's fast, it's efficient. It's designed for efficiency. So the foot only needs to be up for threading so that everything will get into the tension discs. But other than that, it's all designed for fast feeding. So you can just get it up in here, line it up, or if you want to line it up with your needles, but it is very quick and efficient to line it up. The knee lift will also lift up your foot for you. So it's all about keeping your hands on the fabric for as long as possible, and all efficiency. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and give this a little trim. It also has a thread cutter, right up here. So you can just bring and cut your threads, and it makes a beautiful stitch right on the edge. But let's see what happens. We're going to just make a quick little adjustment one way. And did you also see how the lower looper thread just took care of itself? It's like you don't have to stress over the lower loopers. Just let them stay down there. Stay down below. So I have moved this all the way into the plus position, and I'm going to come and move it down into the lower position. And unfortunately, this is going to behave pretty well. See if we can get it to mess up. And of course not. Let's try a cotton. So another thing that I like to do with my serger is I like piecing my quilts. So normally I would measure it out and do a little test run and get a 1/4 of an inch. I do not do curved quilts with this. I just do my piecing. And also when it comes to cutting, I do not cut. I just shave. And I don't know if you can quite see it, but it is the finest little pieces of fabric coming off there. It's just dust, basically. And here we go. So when I had this, do you see how this is pulling in? This is where this little adjustment can come in. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make one more adjustment, and then I'm going to turn it over to Blaine. But I love piecing my quilts because they are so clean. It's fast, it's efficient, it's clean, especially for those of us that make the quilt tops and don't get to the quilting right away. It's very clean on the edge. So I just absolutely love this serger. So see how this, and I can still fiddle with it a little bit, but you can see how it started making the changes. But when you look at it, it's just like piecing on your sewing machine. And when it presses just as flat as if you pieced it on a sewing machine. So I personally love to quilt. I do a lot of charity quilts. I do a lot of fun home deck. I do clothes. This has all been cover stitched and rolled hemmed. So I cover stitched all this applique, the fabric, before I used it as an applique. There's cover stitches here. I created a cover stitch with a plaid and a chain stitch. It is so fun. So now I have run out of time, and I'm going to turn it over to Blaine so that he can see if there's any questions, and we can talk about, if you're interested, how to purchase.
All right, Mickey. So let's see real quick if there's any questions. If y'all have any questions for Mickey about this particular machine, let's go ahead and put them in the chat right now. This is the Air S600.
The Amber Air.
And this is the top of the line Husqvarna Viking. And I tell you what, made it look easy, Mickey.
It's a beautiful machine. Beautiful.
All right. So Nancy Fitzpatrick said, does it use cotton thread?
So you can use, when it comes to a serger, you can use any kind of thread. So, I mean, here I have a 12-weight thread. I can use a 12-weight thread. I can use my embroidery thread. In anything that will fit through the sewing machine needle or through the serger needle, you can use. And when it comes to the loopers, you can use heavier threads in the loopers. You can use 8-weight decorative threads, etc. So you can use anything you want. My recommendation, though, is it's that old adage, garbage in, garbage out. So I only use high quality threads because I don't want to damage my machines. So I only use high quality threads like Maxi Lock. This one I think was wonderful, Phil, but any kind of 12-weight thread. I use the threads that my local dealer carries. So I don't have a favorite brand. But I stay away from the bargains that you get at the chain stores or, on the chain websites because every time it'll burn you in the behind. It's not worth the savings. Okay.
All right, let's see what our next question is. Barbara Brown's asking, does it have a free arm?
It does have a free arm. So it does have the extension table, but if I were to take that extension table off, there is my free arm. So, and if I don't want to use the extension table, it does come with its regular table, excuse me, to give that a good cover. So yes, it does have a free arm, but it also has an extension table.
Okay. Next question comes from Dee Dee. Says, does the FOF equivalent, or no, what does it say?
Yeah.
Equivalent work the same? Is that what it was said, Kyle?
It does, but you will find out more about that tomorrow.
Good answer. Says Sharon says, what kind of needle does it use?
So it does. That's an excellent question. So it does recommend, it does require to use the Overlock EL X705, and it really does like the 90, especially if you're doing cover hem and chain stitch. However, I have heard from the tech department that you can use like a top stitch needle, just your regular sewing top stitch needle in it. However, I find that I just use the overlock stitch, the overlock needles, and I can do pretty much everything. I will sometimes put in a ballpoint or jersey knit for my knits, but yeah, I do stick to the EL 705s.
All right. Next question comes from Sandy. Says, how thick of material can go through it?
Well, this does have actually have, I'm looking for the exact word of it, electronic piercing power. So I know it has more piercing power. And I actually own this particular Husqvarna Viking S600, and I sew everything. I have sewn through bag making. So 2 layers of foam, and then the 4 layers of fabric while putting in a zipper. So I have the 2 foam, the 4 layers of fabric. So I have quilt sandwiches together, and then a zipper on top. And I've serged all of that. Shoot, my zipper's over there. But if you stick around, I will grab my zipper bag. But I put in my zippers for my bags and stuff with my serger. I use my piping foot, and so I really, there's nothing I can't throw at it. I have thrown sequin fabric. I have thrown pretty much everything at it, and denim, just everything.
All right.
Leather.
Now, is it Husqvarna or Husqvarna?
So it's so it's, and I don't even say it with the right accent, but it's like moose. So it's Husqvarna. There's no A in the middle because I know some people call it Husqvarna. There's no A. So it's Husqvarna. And it's actually more pronounced like Tuesday. So it's like Husqvarna. But I can't quite say it that right.
Gotcha.
All right. Judy Abear says, can you air thread all the loopers at once?
Yes, you can. So for demos and classes and stuff, I usually do one at a time. But yeah, when I'm at home, I just shove everything in there. Phew.
All right. Nell de Valencia says, how many feet question with it. I guess come with it.
Yeah.
So the good question. So the foot that comes with it is an all-purpose foot. So I can use it for my regular overlock, and I can also use it for my cover hem. And I also have all these little markings for my needles. So if I'm using my cover hem, I can use these to line up where I need to go. And on my personal one, I've taken a dot of Sharpie to these because I want to see them a little easier. So all of that stuff. But there are two kits that you can buy. There's an overlock kit, and then there's a cover hem kit, and that each kit has all the extra feet. So I did buy the overlock kit in order to get the piping foot, and that's how I put in my zippers.
All right,
But
so we're going
this is a very universal foot. It works pretty much for everything. I use it 95% of the time. It's just every once in a while I'll pull out those specialty feet.
All right, everybody, we're going to continue on. We're going to keep talking about some Husqvarna. I've always said Husqvarna.
Husqvarna. It's Swedish.
Husqvarna.
So
I've always said Viking. So
can you cut for a minute from me? So can you make yourself full screen? I just want to grab something.
Yeah, we sure
I'm doing
can.
all of this from my sewing table, so I just need to reset.
All right, sounds good. All right. Okay, so let's tell you how you can get one just for your very own. This is the Husqvarna Viking Amber Air S600 cover lock. Yeah, I'm probably the last person, Kyle, that you'd ever want to ask how to pronounce something. But I know it well as Viking. And so SMP live pricing is $52.99. Now we do have a call-in special on this. Now there is a bundle, Kyle. We have for this as well. Now the bundle, not only are you going to get a rolling tote to carry this in, am I right on that?
Yes.
Yes. And then doesn't it come with it's a 500, I think it's a $599 tote. So basically $600. And you're also going to get an SMP $500 gift card with purchase. So basically, everybody, for National Serger Month, you're getting a $1,100 value added to this. So great, great special on this. We do have some financing available on this, and we are going to ship this free right to your doorstep. So we have a great special on this today, and they'll work with you too on the if you already have a tote, you don't need a gift card, they can work with you on it. So just give them a call, 800-401-8151, and they'll be happy to take your order. If you're just on watching the show and you have your website pulled up as well, you can just type in the Amber Air S600 in the search bar. It'll take you right to that product page. And while you're looking at that product page, we do have live chat that will pop up. You can actually talk to the live chat agents, and they can answer questions and take your order as well. Or you can just check out right on the website and take advantage of the free special package that we have today. But I would recommend give them a call, 800-401-8151, or speak to one of the live chat agents, and they can work through any questions you have on that. And so let's go back. Let's bring Mickey back in. And I think Mickey's going to show us that bag that she did with the zipper. And
Yes.
Also, Mickey, we're going to move on to our next machine, but we got to tell them what happened with the next machine first.
Yes. So I just talked about the Husqvarna Viking Amber Air S600, which is the fully automated with the color touch screen, etc. The Husqvarna Viking Amber Air S500 is the same machine, the same serger, except it doesn't have the electronic screen. So it's a little different. Now, it was supposed to be here last Thursday, and it is still not here. So we are going to kind of review that S500, but I'm going to still be referencing the S600 because the basics are the same. All right. But I do want to talk about a little bit. So let's you guys have seen this. So this is the Husqvarna Viking S600 with the color touch screen and all that kind of stuff. Let's take a look at the Husqvarna Viking S500. So do you see across there, it doesn't have the computer screen? So that's what I'm going to talk about. So if we want to come back here, and because it's not on the screen here, it is going to be in the owner's manual. And my printer decided to go crappy. The color in the owner's manual is gorgeous. You are going to see the same colors as you would see here. So, but instead of having all of the little checklist here for you, you're going to have your checklist here. And it just will walk you right through it. Now, one of the things that you'll notice, this is automatic tension. Well, so is that one. It doesn't have the little screen here, but there is a dial on the side here, and it will tell you what code to set that to. And when you set it to that, it will set up your tensions for you. Now, the tensions are also automatic, both on the 600 and the 500, which are, you can adjust them even though they're automatic. Once you get familiar with what's happening, you're going to start playing, and that's where it gets really fun. All right, so this has all of the let me pull this down a little bit. So this part of the Husqvarna Viking S500 is exactly the same. Now the S600 has 26 stitches, and the S500 has 23. So there are a few stitches fewer, but it has the accessory tray, it has the free arm, it has the extension table, it has the automatic tension, it has the knee lift, it has all of those wonderful things that I was talking about. But because we're going to talk about this part of the Serger, I want to do a little more troubleshooting. So since I don't really have that machine to show off, I'm going to show you some more troubleshooting. Both the Husqvarna Viking, Amber Air 600 and 500, they have the same power, they have the same base, they have the same everything. So if the idea of a computer screen makes you a little nervous, the Amber Air S500 is a fabulous choice because it gives you all those bells and whistles without the computer screen. But some of the people, like I mentioned differential feed, and let's talk about what differential feed is. So on the Husqvarna Viking Amber Air S500, the differential feed is, there's a knob on the side to adjust. And on this one, it's going to be on the screen. But when we talk about differential feed, what is differential feed and why do I need it? I'm going to switch here. If you have a serger that does not have differential feed, you have a doorstop. It is time to trade it in. Differential feed is needed in a serger. It's why you want a serger. So that's my little soapbox. If you have an older serger, definitely time to trade it in. All right, so what the differential feed is there's two sets of feed dogs here. So on your regular sewing machine, you have lots of feed dogs, but it's just one unit moving in a session. But these are two different sets that can move independently from each other. And that's what they do. So when you adjust your differential feed, you are telling them to work different. So when they are set at 1, they work as a unit. And if you start turning it up, all of a sudden this one is working faster. And why is that important? Well, let me show you. So if you want to do gathers, or if you want to do ruffles, or if you want to do knits, or if you want to do anything like that, but knits are where you're really going to see it. So I'm just going to leave this at, I actually want to show you something before we go. One of the things, this is another one of those tips that I want to show you. I created a problem on purpose so that I could show you. When I was first looking for a serger 20 plus years ago, I knew I wanted one because I sewed a lot of clothes at the time. And every time I'd go into my local dealer and I'd look at a serger, they would walk up to me going, "You want a demo?" And I would say, "Nope." And I would leave the store. Sergers used to scare me. And the thing is, once you start playing with them, you lose the fear, but you do have to play with them. And one of the things that comes up constantly is I've threaded the machine and it's making this crappy stitch and I don't know how to troubleshoot it. I'm going to show you right now. You don't have to be afraid of it. It's just an easy, easy fix. So let me show you. And of course, it's going to behave even though I messed you up. All right, so let me get you going. Yeah, it put itself back into position automatically. So let me get this back in here. But I want to show you, because we've all seen it. If you've ever used a serger, we've all had this where it's just not, and mine is just going to behave. It's just going to behave. It's going to make me crazy. All right, but what happened? We'll pretend like I have a problem and I'll show you how to fix it. But what happens, and I am getting kind of a little bit of a problem here, but you'll serge along and all of a sudden everything's pulling to this side. So you'll have your lower looper pulling around to the front and you're just going, what the heck? Or this upper looper is pulling around to the back and you're going, what the heck? The tensions are right. Everything's right. What is going on? What is going on is that it's not in the tension properly. So if you've ever seen or taken a serger class or been to a serger event where there's an educator or a helper around and you show them the problem, the first thing they do is they open the door and they do this. And we're looking at those tensions, because 90% of the time, the tension, it's just come out of the tension disc. So if you were just to come in and give it a quick little dental floss where you grab each side and pull, 90% of the time, that will fix the problem because it just isn't in the tension. So that was the tip of the day that I wanted to show you. And I'm going to just do a quick thing here because I also want to show you another little trick. All right, but I'm going to show you that next. All right, now back to the knit fabric. Let me make it so you can see. So back to the knit fabric. This is a regular differential. So this is both feet working at the same, or both feet teeth working at the same time. And what happens here is we end up getting this wavy kind of thing happening. Well, when I'm working with knit, I don't want the wave. I want it to be flat. And that's where the differential will come in. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my differential up. And you'll see, I'm going to scooch it way up. So you'll see now when it goes through, that sound is it's just readjusting its tensions because I made changes. So now you can see that with the differential turned up, it's gathering it in, right? Which I do want a little bit of that. I do want a little bit of that when I'm working with a stretch. So what I will do is I will find that happy medium. Now the Husqvarna Viking Amber Air 500, you're going to have to go to the book to look at the fabrics, where the 600 has that screen. I can say, hey, I'm working with knit, and it will kind of make the adjustments for me. But it is not a difficult thing. You will find your area where you like it. Okay. And then there's also adding ribbing. So I'm going to turn my differential down just a bit because I had it set a little high. But if I want to add ribbing to a cuff, a sleeve, anything like that, this is really awesome. So this is a nice heavy ribbing. I've got 2 layers and a knit. Going to lift my edge. And this is just one of those little tips. For those of you that have ever taken Get to Know Your serger machine, you might have done this, but this is one of those, so many people get a little confused about this. But when we do this, I want to keep this the neckline alone. I'm going to feed it through, but I'm not going to stretch it. I'm not going to push it. And the ribbing, however, I want to put a little bit of tension on that. So I'm going to pull it just a little bit as it goes through. And I'm just going to kind of hold that in about 1 inch away from the blade and feed it in. And then just come and straighten this out, but I'm not stretching it. I'm stretching this just a little bit. And I just kind of hold my finger or clip and just stretch it out a little bit. And then I will just come off. Now, one of the things when you're putting in the ribbing is, if you've ever done clothes and you don't stretch, or you stretch both, you end up not with a nice ribbing, you end up with a little crumb catcher. It'll just fold out. And the reason I like to show this is because it's one of those things that you will find it on, I do bibs and pants, and I love to adjust my hoodies, because I don't like the long sleeve. I end up shoving them up. So I just cut my hoodie off and just put a ribbing. So I have like a 3/4 sleeve or a little half sleeve. But if you give it a little bit of stretch, you can see how it will just lay nice and flat when you have it in the neckline or your cuff or collar or anything like that. All right. Now, the last thing that I want to show you is, or something else here, and I moved my little guy. This is like a makeup brush, and this is how what I use to keep myself clean, because sergers are extremely dusty. So I just kind of brush it all into that thread, the waste tray there, but I can keep everything nice and clean. All right. But one thing I do want to show you guys is how to take out a stitch. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use this. I was going to use that, but let me use this. And I went a little off kilter there. But when I personally would rather take out a serger stitch than a regular stitch. And I see so many people that will take their seam ripper and just run it up the edge and then pick out all those millions of little teeny threads. And to take out a serger stitch, there, if you take a look at the stitches, we've got this little guy is our left needle. This is our right needle. These are our upper looper, and this down here below is our lower looper. Now, when it comes to taking out a serger stitch, you want to find the needle thread. And I cannot do this from here. I have to back up a bit. So you want to find the needle thread. It doesn't matter which one. But once you find the needle thread, it'll pull out kind of like a basting stitch. Now, serger stitch is extremely, extremely strong. But it is easy to take out when you do this. So I've taken out the first needle. The second needle thread even comes out even easier. And then all of this will just pull right off of there. So you don't have a million threads to take care of. Now, if I have a long piece, I will kind of go and cut the threads and like go like a foot or whatever, and cut the threads so that when I'm pulling it out, I work in smaller bits, but it is extremely easy to take serger stitches out. The needles are going to be the same as the Husqvarna Viking Amber Air S600. And I don't know if Sewing Machines Plus does this, but I tend to buy my needles by the 100. So I don't know if they can get that for you. But yeah, I always have needles on hand because I sew a lot. So, but everything is going to be the same. The only thing that is different on the Husqvarna Viking S500 is it does not have the computer screen, but it does have automatic tension. And everything else will be in the book. And it has 3 fewer stitches. So that is going to be the two differences. Where they're going to be, oh, I wanted to show you the bag. Okay. So this was the little bag. So this particular stitch was a flat lock stitch. And a flat lock stitch is designed to be opened and flat. So if you take a look at like athletic wear, like yoga pants or anything like that, where it's that flat stitch, this is what they've done. And if on the other side is where you would see the decorative stitching. So on one side, you see the ladder, and on the other side, you would see the decorative stitching. This, I used a 12 weight. So I'd use this kind of thread in the needle. And when I open it up, it's a beautiful decorative stitch. So I can either use it as decorative or I can use it as construction, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I've used it to piece quilts together before. So this is the side that shows. And then this was the zipper that I put in with the piping foot. So these little teeth here fit into the piping groove, just like piping would. So when it's all right side together, I just feed it through the piping foot. I serge the edges, and when it comes over, it is just all neat and clean. Now, if I wanted to run a top stitch on top of this, are going to run back to your sewing machine. And then what I did here was, let me flip it inside out. So I had created it, and then I just folded the edges and serged the edges. So I just folded one in one direction and one in the other direction, and that's how I created that pyramid. This little guy here, I used an 8 weight thread. So this is just super heavy. It's gorgeous. But you can fit anything that will go into those loopers. You can use any pretty much weight. I've used cording. I've used lightweight yarn. I've used all kinds of weird stuff in there. I've put multiple threads in at once. So the thing was, when I first got a serger, it was for construction. I made clothes. I needed to do clothes. But what I found was sergers are so cool for everything else. I do a lot of charity quilts. I do for the Humane Society. I can whip out a quilt like this. This is like a quilt in an hour. And I make vet beds, so they're a little small. And I can, one weekend, and I've done my quota of charity for the month, and I'm good to go. Just all kinds of stuff, but I use it for decorative. I use it for just all kinds of decorative. It's really, really an exciting thing to have in your sewing room. And like I said, it's as important as the microwave in your kitchen. It really is. And I'm going to turn this back over to Blaine for questions and anything else you guys need to ask.
All right. So if y'all have a question for Mickey about the S500, go ahead and put them in the chat right now. And while you're doing that, I'll go ahead and tell them the price, Mickey, and all that. And then we'll come back and see if we can answer any questions while they're putting them in there. So Kyle, if we can put that overlay up, please.
Okay.
All right. So this is the Amber Air S500 Serger. Again, this is the non-electronic version, as Mickey talked about. Again, the SMP pricing $31.79. We do have a bundle for this as well. So give us a call at 800-401-8151 if you're interested in either one of these. And again, the price difference is because of the features. It has 2 more stitches in it. It doesn't have the electronics. So it's going to be less 2 stitches versus the S600 and the electronics. Again, great serger. The S600 is kind of like buying a Cadillac with power windows and all the features, where this one may not have power windows. It's all about what you prefer convenient wise. The electronics makes it a lot easier to set stitches and things. But again, 2 different price points. They both sew exactly the same motors. going to do the same type of job. Really great sergers. And again, if y'all are interested in either one of that S600 or this S500, the Amber Air, give them a call right now, 800-401-8151. And as always, you can put that Amber Air 600 or 500 in the search bar on the website, and our live chat agents can help you there as well. All right, let's go back. Do we have any questions, Kyle? Coming in. If y'all have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat right now. And Mickey's going to set up for her next machine.
We got a few questions.
Okay, so let's go ahead and put her questions in. Let's bring Mickey back in. All right, Mickey, we do have some questions for this. So
Okay.
Teresa Castell said, what are the 3 switches that are different on the machine? Or 3 stitches, I'm sorry, the 3 stitches. I think there's only 2 stitches different, isn't there, or 3?
There's 26 stitches in. You're testing me here, so let me see if I can see. So there's 26 stitches on the Husqvarna Viking Amber Air S600, and there's 23 on. I do not know which ones are different.
Stitches. I was thinking there was 2 for some reason, but yeah, there's 3.
All of the basic stitches are the same. And again, I don't even want to guess, but my guess it would be some of the, like 1 or 2 of the safety cover hem stitches because they're kind of accessory.
We'll see if we can, Teresa, we'll see if we can find out. We'll come back
But
and let you know.
I don't know for sure. But all the basic stitches, so the 2 threads, 3 threads, 4 threads, all those are the same.
All right, Jill's asking, is the S500 also a cover stitch?
It is. It is. It does. Like I said, it's identical in the body and the mechanisms and all of that stuff to the S600. The only difference is it's the fewer stitches and the no computer screen. So everything's automatic, all that kind of stuff. But you are going to reference your user's manual to see where to set the tension. There's a little dial on the side, and it'll tell you to set it to this letter, and that'll automatically adjust your tensions. So it's only 1 step extra by looking at the manual, but it is automatic. So instead of looking at the screen, you're looking at the manual. That's the only difference.
All right, next up is Laura. And is it just as easy to switch cover from cover stitch to overlock like the S600?
Yes, it is. It's just exactly the same. And I tell you, that makes me so happy. So for any of us that have been from the old days, we know how exciting that is. Yes, it's exactly the same. We just flip it from A to B. Super easy.
She had 1 more part on that. Kyle, can you go back?
Yeah, to change the threads.
She also, do you have to change anything with the threads with a change?
So when you go from an overlock, so there's 5 needle positions on a 5-thread serger machine. There are the 2 in the back, which are your overlock stitches, and then there are 3 in the front, which are your cover stitch, chain stitch. So we will be moving the needles from the overlock to the cover stitch position, but that's just moving needles. We do flip that upper looper down by going from A to B, and we do change our front cover from that A1 but you saw me snap it on and off when I did the S600. It just snaps on and off, and we put on the B cover hem. So everything's A and B. Very, very easy. Very easy.
All right. I think we got another one. Jill says, does it come with an extension table and free arm?
It does. It's exactly the same. So it comes with the free arm. It comes with the free arm is built in. So you just take off that little tray and it's there. But yes, the extension table is with it. Again, another one of those things that maybe jump up and down because it makes me so excited because I really believe in having that flat surface.
All right. I think we're ready to move to the next serger.
Yep.
The next one, are you ready? You've got the S400
I
Is that what
do.
All right, so we're going to do the
I have the
S400
S400.
now. Now look at that one. That's pretty awesome looking. All right, so let's go full to Mickey, and we'll be back. I'll be back here in a little bit, Mickey. Go ahead and go through that, and then we'll tell everybody how
All
they can
right.
get.
Okay. So we have been talking about the cover hem, cover stitch machines. By the way, what is the difference between an overlock and a serger kind of thing? So when you're out in the world and you see instructions for an overlock, and then somebody else will call it a serger, it's exactly the same thing. So it just depends on what part of the world they're in as far as what they call it. So here we tend to call it a serger, and in other parts of the world, they tend to call it an overlock. But it is exactly the same. Now, the cover hem is different. And for the cover hem, you need to have a 5-thread serger. You need to have that 5th thread. This is a 4-thread serger. So this will do 2 threads, 3 threads, and 4 threads. So this is what this will do. It is a great little serger as well. It is an air threading. So it is not the one-touch system that we have seen, but it is kind of it's still an air threading. So we set it all up, which I'll show you up close up. And then when you thread it, it goes right through. So again, not one touch, but it is just as easy. All right. And as you'll notice, it's a little bit smaller. This one does not have a free arm, but it is fabulous. It does not have an extension table, but it is fabulous. It does have needle threaders. So this one does have built-in needle threaders, which is fantastic. It does have differential feed. It has LED lighting, which means that lighting will just last forever, and it's nice and bright. I personally have a lot of overhead lighting going on because I'm on air. But in your general sewing room where you don't have all this massive lighting, it is very, very bright. We do have everything's adjustable. We can adjust the length, the stitch, the width, the presser foot, etc. We have extra presser foot height, which is important. And we also have a stitch safety lock, which means it will not close if things are not set up properly. It's making me close it. So it will not stitch if anything's out of position. So it's just a safety protocol for your safety. And this one has 15 stitches. So I know it sounds like a reduction from the last one, but we don't have those cover hem stitches. So we don't have the cover hems. We don't have the chain stitch. So other than that, the stitches are the same. We have the flat lock that I showed you. We had the ability to do my brain just froze. To do the zipper with the piping foot. We have all of that availability here. And the owner's manual too is very, very easy to follow. And you will have those instructions here, nice and easy, so that you can see where to set everything to. So again, it doesn't have the built-in screen, but it is extremely easy to set everything up. Okay. Let me come over here to this guy. Now on this one here, this is where we're going to find the stitch finger to the normal or the rolled edge. This is where we're going to turn down the blade. So if we give it a turn, that blade will go down. Did you see that? And if we can continue back around, it'll go back up. But it isn't until we take a stitch that it pops back up. All right. This is our cutting width here. And so everything's right here. This is where we're going to thread. Now, if you've tuned in for the previous sessions, you're going to see that this is a little different. We're still going to tell it we're going to thread. We're still going to turn that hand wheel to lock the tubing there. But here we're going to physically tell it, I'm going to thread the upper looper first and then thread it. and I'm going to thread the lower looper and then thread it. So let me show you. Let me take this back. Oh, I'm on the wrong. This is the thing about working with multiple machines is you're grabbing, it's in one spot on one machine and it's in a different spot on a different machine. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a cut. And I'm going to pull this back through. There we go. So now I do not have this threaded. So I'm going to tell it I want to thread this, the upper looper. And I'm going to tell it I want to thread it, turn the hand wheels and lock it in. Now this thread is going to come shooting out of here. Let me see if I can change the position just a bit. There we go. So it's going to become shooting out of here for me. And this one, I do have to thread them one at a time because I have to have that position in that position. So pop them in there. And then we'll give this lever a lift and we'll just pull it down and you'll see he just pops right through. So it's not a push button, but as you can see, is extremely easy to thread. So I'm going to pop this back into the stitching position and I'm going to go ahead and close my door. All right. Now on this one, the hand wheels are on the side. So on the S500, this is where you will see these as well. So the handles are on the side. So we have our stitched length, we have our differential feed, and then there's one more up here on the S500. That is where we would do our tensions. All right. So, and this is our hand wheel. This is the pre-tension, and the instructions, your user's guide will tell you whether to set it to normal or to tight, and that will adjust the pre-tension and tighten it up. Some decorative stitches are going to want it tighter, and so that is what that is for. It does come with your little waist tray, which I find extremely helpful. And it is just a really, really beautiful machine. But I also want to show you how to use these needle threaders too, because these needle threaders are pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the left needle. Of course. There's the tweezers. And I'm just going to go ahead and tuck all this underneath. You're going to stay up on top, but you're going to go underneath. And yes, I talk to my stuff even when I'm by myself. All right. So one of the nice things about this particular needle threader is you'll notice that there's a left and a right here so that I can tell it what needle I'm in. I'm either in the left one or I'm in the right one. In this particular case, I'm going to be in the left one. There is a little handle right here. And if I go ahead and just pull that down, it will put it into position for me. So I don't have to do the juggle like you can on some of the old sewing machines. You're just going to use this lever, pull it on down. There's a little hook right there. I'm just going to get under the hook. And I'm going to go ahead and just run it up the front of the needle. And once I get it up the front of the needle, then I'm just going to relax this hand. This is where a lot of us are guilty, is we get excited and we pull this thread again. So I want to relax this hand and pull the thread, and it'll just bring it right back through. Do you see that? I used to get so excited. I'd be like, look at that, and pull it right back out again. So really relax that hand. All right. So this is ready to go. So let me, oh, I thought I had it handy here. All right, I will just grab the thread. Oh, there it is. I was like, where's my stack of fabric? So once again, I'm going to show you how nicely this stitches. So this is a 4-thread overlock. And I'm going to go ahead and lower the foot because I don't need, this needs to go back to normal, normal, normal. And I'm going to put my little waist tray and I'm going to give it some gas. And again, there is a cutter here as well. So it'll cut your thread, but look how beautiful that is. Okay, so it stitches really, really, really well. All right, just beautiful. Love it, love it, love it. Let me show you some of the things that can be done with a serger. Now, one of the things I'm going to move, so I'm going to back out a bit, so I don't want to make y'all seasick the whole time. So one of the things with a serger is we talked about the differential feed on the last 2 machines, and this is also has differential feed. The differential feed wheel is right here. So again, at 1, it's normal. The higher the number, the more that front group of feed teeth are working. So that's where you get that gathering. But we can do piecing. So here, it's just quilting. So this is the 4-thread overlock. And I have talked to quite a few long armors. And you'll have some long armors that tell you that they don't like serged edges with quilting. However, a lot of quilters recommend a 3-thread overlock for piecing a quilt. And that is the problem. That's what they don't like, because a 3-thread, even though it uses fewer threads, it doesn't lay flat. If you use a 4-thread overlock, it will lay flat. The long armors can quilt through them just fine, and all of a sudden they lose their objection. So if you are going to piece a quilt and use it or send it to a long armor, make sure you are using a 4-thread overlock because they have no problem with those. But piecing a quilt is super, super quick and easy. There is the rolled hem. You know, the rolled hem. This is just a little t-shirt that I cut off the edge and added some ruffles to create this cute little dress. And I hemmed it with a rolled hem. Here's another example. There's just so much fun things you can do. Why are you stuck? With a rolled hem. So here I edged the strip with a rolled edge. So it's just beautiful. And then I used my sewing machine to stitch it down and add decorative stitches. This is a flat lock, just like this. The difference here is I ran ribbon through it afterwards to create a decorative effect. And this was just a runaround bib, like play clothes coverall. So I just left the edges because it was meant to be crawled around on the floor and get dirty and not last very long, right? But when you do the quilting, look how beautiful that is. And this is what I was talking about. If you're one of those that likes to make the quilt top but don't always get to quilting it, look how clean this is. So I love using a serger to piece my quilts. The only exception, well, I have 2. If there's any curved pieces, I do not use my serger. And if it asks for a scant 1/4 of an inch or anything different than a 1/4 of an inch, I don't use my serger. But all 1/4 of an inch quilts can be done. Here is where I use that flat lock to piece the quilt. So again, I could come and add ribbon. I could do all kinds of fun stuff, but it just stitches so beautifully. And then here's one of my favorite things. Now, I like the binding attachment, but if I'm doing a wall hanging or anything where I'm not going to see the back, or even if I just want to top stitch it afterwards, or God forbid, I have to do hand sewing, I would rather clean the toilet with my head than hand sew. That's a serious, I don't like it. I know how to do it. I know how to teach it. I don't like it. So if I have to do hand stitching, I use this technique for anything other than a binding attachment. And what it is I will put the binding on traditionally using the 4-thread overlock. So it's just the same as you would do, where you're just going to add, stitch it down, stitch it off, fold it over, do all of that. You flip your corners over. But the difference is in the loopers. So in my needles, I have you can use cotton thread, you can use maxi lock, you can use polyester, whatever you like to use. And I stitch it down. The difference is in the lower looper, I have a fusible thread. So a fusible thread, when I'm done, I will take this and press it over, and it tucks it in place. Now this little sample, this guy has been traveling with me, and I have students that are constantly pulling up on it, and it's still holding in place pretty well. It really does need another press but the students love to pick at it and see if they can pick it off. And it's still attached, just a little bit at the edges. It's now starting to pull up from being abused. But I love it for a wall hanging, because my wall hangings are like artwork. I really don't care about the back any more than I care about what the back of my painting looks like. So it just hangs up there. And the only time I pull out a hand needle and thread and will hand stitch a binding is if it's an heirloom quilt where it's going to like a wedding gift or something. I will pull it out, but I still will attach it with the serger and tack it down, and then it's all in position for me to come in and hand stitch it. It's really, really convenient. So let me see if there's anything else. The threading on this, let me get back over here. The threading on this is really straightforward. So you're just going to, again, it's all color coded for you. It's all going to you're just going to follow the color coding. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that's... Oh, one thing I do want to show you that I didn't show you for the others is I'd mentioned you can use any kind of thread that will fit into the loopers. Now, not all the threads that you put into the loopers will that air thread work. So most 8-weight threads will go through the air, whether I'm manually pumping it or I'm pushing a button, it'll go through. But every once in a while, I'll throw something that doesn't. What do? So one of the things that these sergers do come with is this little thread guide. So all of the air threading ones will come with this little guide. And this is a little wire, right? And it's almost like you're snaking your drain, all right? So I know that's not the nicest way to think about it, but that's what my students always say. So let me pull this through. All right. So if I happen to have a thread that is it's heavy and I cannot get my air threading to push it through, this is where this guy comes in. So what we'll do is I'll tell it I'm going to go into threading. I'm going to turn my hand wheels to lock everything into place. And this has just a pointed edge, and that will go in. And I'm just going to feed it through until this comes out through the looper. So I'm just going to keep on going, and you're going to see it eventually come out right there. So once we see this here, then I can take my heavy thread and run it through the eye of it. Just run it right through the eye of it. Easier said than done, because I have, okay, yeah. It's easier when I'm in front of it. and you'll have an easier time. But what I'll do is I'll just keep pulling it, and you'll see it comes right out of there. And it is extremely easy to use the wire gauging. So like I said, this one does not have a free arm. And one thing I do recommend that as soon as you're done with it, put it back in here in the little package, put it back in your accessory tray, because you can lose it. Now, if you do lose it, you can replace it. And I'll show you a pinch that I do. So every once in a while, I just cannot put my hands on it. So I always have thread laying around. So if you lose it, don't panic. You can get another one, or you can just take a loop of thread. So I've got a loop at the end. I'm going to put the two edges in there, and I'm just going to feed it through. And I like to keep my finger in the loop because I have pulled it through when I didn't mean to. The wire is much easier, to be honest with you. But like I said, if you're in a pinch, if you've lost it, and you can't reorder it just yet, this will work in a pinch. And you can see how he'll pop out here. Do not pull through. And if I pull him through, then I end up with a little loop here. So I don't want anybody panicking about losing that little guy because there's lots of options for it. My preference is I always purchase a new one, and I've only lost it once, but I've gotten very good in the habit of putting it back. And here's the safety protocol. Because I am set for threading, it won't let me close the door. So I have to set it back to stitching, and now I can close the door. All right, so we are going to head over back to Blaine if there's any questions about this. I know it was pretty brief after the big fancy one, but it is a very strong, sturdy, basic serger. So if that's what you're looking for, the air threading makes it extremely easy to use. I love this machine. This one was the one that came out before the S500 or the S600, and I just used it all the time. This is actually my machine. I used it all the time until the big boy came out. I absolutely just love this thing.
All right. So do we have any questions for Mickey? Jill says, are the presser feet kits the same for all models?
So no, not so. As you go up and down the line, they will change a little bit. So the S500 and the S600, they will use the same kits. And if you're coming from the old Husky Lock S25s, S21s, etc., I believe those will fit the S600 and the 500. The S400, which is the 4th thread, they will not fit the 500. So that is something to think about.
All right. Is there any other questions, Kyle? Yes. Okay, we got some more questions. Sandy says, does it have a thread catcher? And
it does.
Does it come with it?
It does. It does have a thread catcher. I just had to grab my power. My computer was going dead. It does have a thread catcher. It does come with it. It comes with an accessory box, and all of the tools that you need are going to be in here. That includes screwdrivers, Allen wrenches, tweezers, everything you need, the little wire, spool caps, nets, all of that good stuff. Even a little brush for cleaning. So everything is in it. Everything comes with it. It comes with a pack of needles. It comes with everything you need to get started. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think we still got a few. Is that it? Okay. All right. So are you, we'll tell them how to get that while you're switching over and to the S100.
All right,
And
sounds
let's
good.
go ahead and bring the overlay up, Kyle, and we'll talk a little bit about this. Now, again, this is the Amber Air S400. We've done the 600, the 500, now the 400. This is the S400 overlocker. S&P live pricing, $13.79. We do have financing available for this, and we're going to ship it free nationwide right to your doorstep. 800-401-8151. Again, you can put that in the search bar on the website, the Amber Air S400, and it'll take you right to the product page. Live chat agents are setting by as well. And then we also have Rhonda is on the, I think she's monitoring YouTube and Facebook in the chat. So if y'all need to, she can answer some questions for you in the chat on YouTube and Facebook as well. And we'll try to get those answered for you. But again, another great machine. And, Mickey's using her personal one. This is the one that she's had for a long time. And then she upgraded and got that S600. And again, all these are going to be great sergers. They're going to sew pretty close to the same way. Great motors, all those things. Again, we're just talking about features, stitch differences. Now, one of the things I did find out, I didn't find out, I should say. I did some research and I was trying to figure out what the difference is on S600 and S500 as far as the stitches. There's 3 stitches. I couldn't find it anywhere. They do list out on the S600 all the different stitches. You can actually find those on our website. It lists you all the different kinds of stitches. I know that the S500 has pretty much the same stitches on it, but there is 3 more on the S600, and it doesn't decipher which ones it doesn't have on the S500. So wish I could find that information for you, but it's got to be really close to the same. So all right, so we are going to go back to Mickey, and we are going to talk all about this Amber Air S100 now. So let's go right back to Mickey.
So, okay, here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Next on the list. All right. So we've been kind of walking down the line a little bit. So the Husqvarna Viking, Amber Air S600 was our top of the line. The 500 is our top of the line without the computer. The S400 is our 2, 3, 4 thread air threading. So it's got the automatic air threading. And now we're moving down into this one does not have air threading. This is a 4 thread. So that means it's 2, 3, and 4 thread stitches. And even though it is not air threading, this guy is really easy to thread. And I will show you what they have done here. So it is very nice. So because it keeps getting asked, this does come with a thread catcher. This does not come with a free arm, but it has some really nice features on it. Let me pop this up here. So it has the color coding that makes everything so easy. It does have the user's guide, which is going to tell you what to set everything up again. Once again, it's just a little checklist. So you just go and check. It has the easy threading guide. So you can keep this handy right next to you if you need to, or in a drawer. But like I said earlier, once you've threaded it, it really becomes like a sewing machine. You just have to get that repetition going on. And one thing that this does have that is really nice is it has a built-in seam guide. It's new. It's a little stiff. But let me get in here. There we go. So it has a nice little seam guide. So you can lay your fabric and get really nice straight seams, which is nice. You can get an accessory for the other models, but this one has it built in. So that does make it really, really nice. And again, it has all the accessories you need, the little spool holders, spool caps, the needles, screwdrivers, everything you need to get started is in here. And this little guy is your thread catcher. Now I'm going to keep him off most of the time. But if you have this particular serger, the Amber S100, and have kind of been confused about putting this on and off, this is what I'm going to show you. This one has a little knob here, and he's going to go into the corner or into this little hole that's right in the side here. And this little guy comes right, there's a little notch here, and he's going to lock in. But if you put the peg into the hole first and then come and do not be shy, give him a push, he will go in. And then he'll just stay there until you tell him to come out. So that is the thread catcher. It's really, really nice. All right. Now, like I said, this is going to be a manual threading, and they have made it very, very convenient, because one of the things on the older machines is all of my little gizmos are up in here. So I have to thread, and then I have to reach, and then I have to do all this kind of stuff. But what this machine does is so the Amber S100 will just open this all the way up. So both doors open so that I can have easy access to everything that I need. It is very, very convenient. Now, the other sergers that I have shown had the converter built in. This is one that does not. So the little converter is in here, but they have a nice little storage place for it. So, all right, I'm not going to sweat it. I'm going to put it in later. I've got everything at an angle, which is why it looks like I'm struggling. But when I'm straight on, I'm not. And then also we talked about the rolled hem versus the normal sewing with the stitch finger. So this has a stitch finger that is built in right there, but it also has a secondary stitch finger that is a little more narrow. So it's really nice for doing like fine fabrics and those fine, like if you do a lot of heirloom sewing or anything like that, it's really nice for that. But everything else is kind of built in. We've got, the brush, the tweezers, we've got screwdrivers, all that good stuff. All right. But one of the things that I want to do is I want to show you the threading on this guy, because it is a little different than what I've been showing you so far. Now, I'm not going to fret. Well, I have to. Never mind, I'm going to thread the whole thing. Now, the reason I said it that way, it's like, well, why did she say it that way? Because with the air threading, get my threads out. With the air threading, there we go. With the air threading, when you have a serger, there's a particular order that things need to be threaded in. You're going to thread the upper looper first, the lower looper, and then the needles. Now, I didn't mention that with the air threading, because with the air threading, you don't have to. You can start from left to right, right to left, etc. But now we're back to the manual threading. So now I have to thread in an order. I can no longer leave the needles threaded. I have to start with that upper looper. And we all remember what the upper looper is. He's the one that's coming up and over. So that's my upper looper. So it's it's lower and then upper. So I'm going to come and grab this, and he's going to come into this red position, because this is my upper looper. And there's a quick reference here that's going to show me I'm going to hook it in right here, and I'm going to follow the red here. So there's a little red dot. Let me get you in closer so you guys can see. Yeah, there we go. So here's the little guy, the chart here. So it's telling us to start here. There's a little hook here. There's one here. And then we're going to go up into the little hook above the upper looper. There's a little hook right here. Right? And I'm going to take my foot off so you can see this easier. And here is the upper looper. Get my tweezers. And sergers do come with tweezers because it is extremely helpful for trying to get in these little nooks and crannies. And especially if you're like me, I have big old man hands. So I'm going to thread that right in there and pull it through. So as you can see, it's really not difficult. You're just going to come and follow the color coding. That's all you're going to do. All right. And then we're going to come and we're going to grab the next color. With all of this open, it makes it extremely easy to thread. Our next one, you'll see what the little differences. And again, now we're going to be in the green, and I'm just going to follow the green. And there's a little green hook right in here, so I'm going to come and hook it. And there is also a green hook at the back of the upper looper. So he's going to get the hook in there as well. There we go. So he's in there. And then I'll bring the upper looper up again, or excuse me, the lower looper. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my tweezers. Now, when we're threading here, do you see how the upper looper is in the back? Because it's the lower looper and upper looper in alphabetical order. So the upper looper is in back, and the thread is laying down. And this is the lower looper. And we're going to thread through the eye so that it goes over the thread, over the previous thread. So it pretty much does it for you. I cannot see. There we go. Again, it's just my eyes and the angle. Pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it, pull it. And actually, this guy can stay down. He's the lower looper, so I don't even need to bring him up. He can just live down here. All right, but we've got him all threaded. And now we will thread the needles. So I can go ahead and give this a close. I can give this a close. And now we're going to go ahead and thread our needles. So again, this part, let me change my camera angle. Hold on. This part is very much like a sewing machine. So that's why a lot of us just kind of whiz through, because we're just going to get threaded in the tension. We're going to come up and over. We're going to come up and over and in, and then there's a hook back here, and we're going to just thread our needle. And this one does not have it. So this one does not come with that needle threader. It does not come with a needle threader. But you can purchase the needle threaders. Let me show you. So these little needle threaders here are great. They can be purchased. I know some people who buy them like, 10 packs and just lay them all around. Because this has one position that you can put your needles in. It'll hold your needle for you. And then this guy is your needle threader. And I like to have one around just because there are times where I just can't use whatever needle threader I have. So I will just run it through. And look how easy that was. So this is just one of those tools that is really handy to just throw in your sewing kit just in case of emergency. It's like a break glass in case of emergency. And this guy comes over here. Oh, hold on, I forgot to thread this guy. And I'm going to, I do not play with this one very often at all. So I am going to double check my quick threading reference guide just to make sure I have those in the right spots. So I have those are my loopers. Yep. So here it's just coming straight from here down. So it's a good thing I checked. So I made extra work for myself is what I did, because I don't need that extra guide. I'm just coming straight down. I was trying to put it in there. Like I said, it's been a while since I played with this regularly. And I'm going to pop this in. And I have a little extra foot lift. Sorry, I need to move this to get at the right angle. And get in there and lower that. And when it comes into getting into in position, I will just push the button at the back and it'll snap it into position. All right. So this took a little bit more than the previous ones that I showed you. But as you can see, it is very straightforward. It is very easy. Having the reference guide makes it extremely easy. And now let's do a test stitch. Oh, you want to see? I guess you guys want to see. Let me change the angle so it's a little not so cattywampus for y'all. All right. So here's where this little guide can come in quite handy. And when it comes to finding the position, I'm always going to just measure from the farthest needle. So in this case, I have 2 needles, so I'd measure from the left needle, or you can measure from the right needle. And if you have a favorite, I always kind of make a note of that. And we're going to go ahead and turn it on. So once again, this is a 2, 3, and 4 thread. It has 16 stitches. It has the full access, meaning everything will open, the differential feed, safety precautions. So you can't open, you can't run it when it's not safe. And it's all color coded and everything's adjustable. I can adjust my stitch length. I can adjust my stitch width. And let me put the presser foot. All right, there we go. And as you can see, this too makes a beautiful stitch. So rolled hem, all the basic stitches, and as you can see, it just stitches gorgeous. It is extremely easy to thread because of the wonderful thread openings. And like I said, it comes with all of these the little bag of accessories. Now this little guy here, they will look different depending on which level or model you're using and stuff. But these are your cone holders. So you'll put these on your spools, spool pins before you put a big cone, and that keeps it from rattling around on you. When you're not using these, you can use regular sewing thread. So, you were asking about like the cotton. So for those of you that like Aurifil, you can definitely put an Aurifil in here. You can use Metler, Gutermann, whatever you like to use. But if you're going to use a bigger spool, I recommend these because otherwise they wobble. And it comes with the thread nets. So the thread nets are every once in a while, good quality thread. I've mentioned it before. Good quality thread is going to make the difference. Low quality thread does like to tend to pool down at the bottom and get kind of stuck underneath. And that's where the thread nets can come in. Now, there are some really good quality threads that every once in a while, depending on what you're using it for, will do the same thing. That does not mean it's a bad quality. It just means the way that particular spool was designed, it's more for the sewing machine than the serger. And that's where these little thread nets will come in. And you can just thread it on, thread the thread through the top, and it'll keep your thread behaving. Now, most of my thread nets look like this because I just don't use them very often. These are like spool discs. They will sit underneath when you're using any of the spools. You can put it underneath. And then there are spool caps to go on top of your threads. It comes with, like I said, the screwdrivers. You're going to take out the needles with the screwdriver. And what I like about this particular one too is, let me take a close up here. This particular little guy, if you can see, there are two screws for the two needles. There are some sergers that I have seen out there that have one screw for both needles. And I just like this so much more because it's just so much more secure over the particular needles that it is securing to, rather than having one that's trying to catch both of them. So all of that is included. Also, all of the sergers that I have mentioned also come with an extra blade, so that you can, if you, God forbid, break it, you can change it. A little tip that I personally do, because I change my blade actually quite often, and it's not because there's anything wrong with it, but there are some fabrics like fleece or leather or vinyls where I'm working with those blade dulling fabrics. So I just have it fleece written on my blade, and whenever I'm working with those bad fabrics, I will just put that in there. And then once it's time to replace a regular blade, then I can rename it and move it over. Or if I need to change my fleece blade, I will go ahead and just rename it and switch it over. I do the same things with my rotary blades. I will just move it on down the line till it's paper or cardboard. But I personally like to do that. How often would you change your blade under ordinary circumstances? Pretty much forever. I mean, they last a really, really long time. And as long as you're not sewing over pins or clips or anything like that, you shouldn't have any problem. You sew over a pin, that blade is dead. So don't sew over pins. You shouldn't be sewing over pins anyway, but especially not on a serger. All right. So just a quick question about the pins, because I grew up sewing over pins and all of a sudden I was told I couldn't do it anymore, and I didn't understand why. Today's machines, sergers, sewing machines, etc., they have much more power than they did when we were kids. And that is why they no longer go over, they go through. And with the blade is actually cutting. So if it comes across the pin, it's got nowhere to go except through that pin. So it's just going to chew up your blade. So if there's any questions about this, it has the speed control. I mean, it doesn't have speed control. It has your stitch length. It has differential. Remember, a serger without differential is a doorstop. It has the easy access. It has the waist tray. I'm going to go ahead and put that back on for you. Wrong guy. Oh, I can do this one. It's a good angle. Oops. Keeps blinking out. But there's a little hole here, so he's going to come into that little hole. And And then I'm just going to snap him right into that position there. So it's a nice little waist tray. They all come with dust covers. They all come with owner's manuals. There's wonderful videos out there and how-tos and stuff like that. Husqvarna Viking. We do Facebook Lives. We do YouTube Lives. And we're more, we focus in a little bit more for y'all. So we pick a topic and we just stick to that topic. So if there's any questions, if there's anything else we need to do, or if there's anything else I can show you. Oh, I can show you how to gather. So if I change my, you can just use a regular, what did I do with my, I have my little cheat sheet for when I do this kind of stuff. Oh, what did I do with you? All right, so moving on. I'm going to change my tensions a little bit. Change my tensions a little bit. And I'm going to change my stitch length to a longer stitch. Oops, I don't want to get you out of the way. There we go. Get in there. There you are. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put some gas. And I'm going to change my tension a bit. So my foot's getting caught on my other foot, in case that's what you're wondering. But you can change your by just changing your tensions. Remember earlier when I was saying how once you get used to something and you start playing with it, you're going to want to start changing things. So you can just adjust your tensions, adjust your stitch length, and create different stitches. So I had this all written down. There we go. And then what's nice here too is it does this nice little gather. All I did was tighten up my needles. I loosened up my loopers and I made my stitch length a little longer. Now, for those of you that do gathers a lot, I highly recommend to get the gathering foot. It really makes it so much easier. But even from here, remember when we take out stitches, we're going to pull those needle threads. So I can do the exact same thing here and pull the needle threads to tighten or loosen up these gathers as well, as much or as little as I need. Okay, so I'm going to ask their questions. I will turn it over to Blaine and we'll see if we have any questions on these.
All right. Do we have any questions, Kyle?
Not seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not seeing any on this one.
Yeah, it's like once we start going down, it gets so simple. Now we got a fancier one coming up next.
Yeah, we sure do.
Yeah, with the basic ones, it's like I'll show you what it can do. They're great, but
all right.
They're
what I'll do then, Mickey, we'll go ahead and tell them how they can get one while you're switching over to the next machine.
Sounds good.
So Kyle, if we can bring that overlay up. All right, so that was the Amber Air S100 Serger. Now look at the price on that. This is the entry level price, $499. Again, we have some financing options that are available. We're going to ship this to you free nationwide. 800-401-8151. And you know, Kyle, we sell a lot of these. We actually sell a lot of these S100s, and I think it's because it's such a good price on it. A lot of people, you know, that may not can afford those higher price ones. This is a great entry level Serger, great mechanics on it, and so again, great price, $499 on this one. Give us a call, 800-401-8151, or just go in the website and type in Amber Air S100. You can read all the information about it there. purchase it there, or you can speak to a live chat agent as well. All right, we are going to, I think, let's go ahead and give something away, Kyle, while she's getting set up. we'll do a giveaway. What do y'all think? So in honor of the Sergers, I'm going to give away a small sew mat. Now the small fits Sergers. And so what we're going to let you do is we're going to let you have a choice of color, whatever color you want, but it's going to be in the small size that will fit Sergers. It'll fit a lot of small sewing machines as well. So it will be a small sew mat in your size, in your color of choice. So Kyle, spin the wheel. Oops, congratulations, Bonnie. Now, Bonnie, to claim that prize, we need you to go to SMPlive.tv. Scroll down toward the bottom of the page where it says claim my prize. And most importantly, fill out all that information, and in the note box on there, just put what color of Serger you want, and we'll get that small size of Serger sent right out to you. That simple. All right, I think Mickey is ready to go. So Mickey, we're going to come back to you.
Sorry. I zigged when I should have zagged.
You well, you know what? You zagged pretty good because you're ready with another machine. You're making those switches pretty quick.
Like I said, I really struggled, but I got it down. So
all right. Well, hey, since we talked about the fancy one, we're going to talk about this Husky Lock S21.
Yeah, the Husky Lock S21.
So we're going to let you take it away on that, and then I'll come back at the end. We'll get some questions. If y'all have any questions, we'll save them till the end, and then we'll let you know what the pricing and everything about it then.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about the Husqvarna Viking Husky Lock S21. So it really is a great little serger. It does do the cover hem and the chain stitch. It is a 4-thread, but it does all the 5-thread stuff. It is very, very cool. It does come with a thread catcher. Now this one is a little different. It's not the hard like the other one. This one will hang off the table, and it'll just attach to the little feet underneath, and it just hangs. Let me see if I can get this to go. It hangs like so. I'm not going to leave it attached, but it hangs like so. All right. And it comes with the accessory tray. Not the accessory tray. It comes with all the little accessories, the spool caps, the threads, the needles, the tweezers. And it comes with the 2 tables. So when I was talking about the Amber Air S600 and the Amber Air S500, we talked about the tables. Let me get this out of the way because I can't see what you're seeing there. But we talked about these little tables. So we had the A and the B table and how they would come off for a overlock, which is using the blade, or a cover hem, which is using this is going to be stitched on top. So these will both come with both of these. It comes with an owner's manual. And again, everything is just really beautifully laid out for you in the owner's manual. So everything is really crisp and clear and easy to follow and easy to see. The other thing that this guy comes with here too, and I'm not going to attach it because this is not mine, but this is a nice little guide, and it shows you all of the stitches and what your tensions are going to be, because this is going to be a manual tension. All right. But it's going to tell you what all your tensions should be. And you can peel the sticker and stick it right here, or you can put it on the wall next to you, or however you want to do it. But this is yours to put wherever you like. recommended is right here, right in front, but we'll leave it up to you. I'm not going to go ahead and do that. The threading again, let me see if I can change this angle. The threading again is going to be all color coded, so it makes it extremely easy to follow. The nice guides down here. But like I said earlier, there's some where the mechanisms are inside where you have to do a little manipulation. I'm going to show you about that real quick. And that's where, like with the Husqvarna Viking S100, that being able to open it, that's why it's such a popular machine. It's just a nice little machine, plus being able to thread. This one is also extremely easy, and I'll show you. There are some differences. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set this up for a 4 thread. So I'm just going to do my little quick look it up in the book here. And I'll show you how easy it is to set everything up. So with this 4 thread, everything is right here. And it's letting me know it wants this A table on. So this is the overlock table. It's going to use the needles A and B, which are going to be right there. The stitch finger is going to be at normal. The presser foot is going to be at, oh, this one doesn't have it. So this one is, oh, the stitch length, which is over here, is going to be at normal. The cutting is going to be at normal. The differential feed is going to be at normal. Everything's going to be normal. It does not want, let me show you in this real quick. This one has the built-in stitch converter. So if it's on, you're just going to flip this down to engage it, and you're going to flip it up to have it off, and it wants it off right now. Okay. And let me get out of here real quick. And everything is going to be at normal. So I want the 4 thread overlock. So everything's just going to be at normal here. So everything's just going to be set like so. All right. And I want to show you how to thread it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this position. And this is where I get a little hiccup with the layout, because I need to rethread this. So I lift my foot. Now, I mentioned earlier too about always turn your hand wheel towards you, except when you're releasing thread. So whenever you're working with a serger, sewing machines we can pull to the side, we can pull to the front. But with a serger, there are these little pins. Let me zoom in real quick. There are these little pins here that are with a serger, and they're designed to help form that stitch. So when you pull your thread with a serger, you do not want to pull it forward. You do not want to pull it to the side. You want to pull it to the back. But now if you come in here, if you're pulling it and it's stuck, you do not want to force it. You want to either pull the threads out and give it a go, or you can turn your hand wheel back 1 rotation. The needles go all the way down and come all the way back up. And what that does is that releases everything off the loopers, and then you can give it a pull. But again, if anytime you're not getting that free flowing pull, don't force it, because there's a whole mechanism in there. We don't want to pull anything out of whack. All right. So let me put my threads in. I do not have a yellow here, so I'm going to pretend like this is my yellow, because that's the first color. And then we're going to do red, and I'm going to do green, and I'm going to do blue, because this is the color. Oh, you can't see. This is the color order that we are doing here. So once again, when we're not doing an air threading, we need to me get out of this cattywampus, see if that helps. Nope. When we're not doing air threading, when we're doing manual threading, we need to follow that specific order again. So we need to start kind of from the center out. We're going to go with the upper looper first, the lower looper, and then the needles. So let me start with the upper looper, because threading is what everybody wants to know about, because that is the key to Serger. So this one has a, let me bring it up a little bit. This one has an eye through there. So it's not a snap. You're literally going to pull it through the eye from back to front. Put it in this little tension guide here. And then straight down the tension. And then we're going to start getting into our hooks. So let me move this down so you can see. So once again, everything is color coded. There's a nice little chart here for you. There's all this good stuff. But we're going to get in that first hook. And this is the yellow. I mean, this is the green. So we're going to come from this first hook to this green. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, but it's the wrong color. So I'm just going to slide along. Oh, I need my tweezers. I put them away. Don't. All right. So there's a hook in here, right in there. So you can use your fingers. I like to use my tweezers to get in there because I have big old man hands. But I'm going to get into that hook. All right, I'm going to change my angle because I need to be in front of it. Come on, you little stinker. You know how to do this. There we go. Yep. Probably should have started with this one. I get a little tired. Come on, get in there, you little stinker. There we go. I swear I'm making it look harder than it is actually. There's another hook here. Get right in there. And then we need our upper looper, which is there's just straight up there. He's the one that goes up and down. And then we're going to thread through the eye of the upper looper. So we'll get this guy. And I'm going to go back to that hook that I was having trouble with so I can talk about that. Because like I said, I was making it look harder than it was because it was an operator error. And let me show you what it was. I'm going to pull out my phone. Okay. So let me see if you can see this a little bit in here. So you see this little hook here? There's a hook and it comes over and it's open at the bottom. Well, this big silly girl was trying to thread the opening at the top that wasn't there. So when you saw me struggling, it's not that it was hard. It was that the teacher made a mistake. And I'm okay with admitting that. All right, so that is my upper looper. So now let me go into my lower looper, and we're going to do similar. I'm going to move out a bit. So I'm going to follow the blue on this one. So I'm going to thread through. I'm going to thread through this from back to front. I also have trifocals. Not that that's an excuse, but it does make it. I got to find the right spot for my eyeballs to see what's happening. There we go. And then we're going to get around the tension. Get around that tension. Get around that tension. A little pre-tension. Come on, yellow stinker. And then we're going to come straight down. And then we're going to zoom back in down here so you guys can see again what's happening. But there's this hook. So we've got the thread at the top. There's this hook. Now this is, we've got two blues. But this one is going to be the, sorry. This is going to be the lower looper. The dark blue is the cover stitch looper. So this again is going to go right in here. Snap in there. There you go. And we're going to follow it down to the light blue. So we've got a couple of different blues in here. I'm going to come in here to this guy. And again, now that I'm awake, it's from the under to the over. So this should be much easier to get in. Let me move. I'm going to move you guys for a minute because I can't quite see. From the under. Come on, yellow stinker. There we go. That was much easier. And then there's another hook here. So again, we're going to go under. So we're just going to come under and pull straight up. Okay. And there's also a hook here. Now this is where it kind of gets a little tricky, is because there's a hook way back in there. And how we get to that is I'm going to pull this forward so that I can see my upper looper. And there's a little lever here, and I'm going to pull. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pull this guy right here. I'm going to put him in here. But there's a little kind of a lever here. And if you see when I pull the lever, do you see how he's going to pull that thread back to the back? So I'm going to just go ahead and let him do his job. Get you out of the way. I'm going to let him do his job. And now he's tucked back there. And how I know I'm in the right spot is when I pull this thread forward. Do you see how there's like a groove right there? I don't know if you can see it, but there's a groove along the looper, and my thread will lie right into that groove before it goes through the eye of the looper. So I'm going to pop this through the eye of the looper. And the nice thing is, if you manage to pop it out of position, all you have to do is just get it back into position and flip that little guide, and it should pop in there. All right, let's get you in here. All right, so we'll get that in there. All right, there we go. Alrighty. All right. Now again, the lower looper can stay down below, but I'm going to go ahead and move forward here because I know I was quickly run out of time. So we're going to come here, and I'm going to thread my needles. Let me get into a good position so you can see that. So the needles are going to, again, this has a little snap in it, I think. Yeah, this has a little snap. Come on, get in the, there we go. Get in the little snap, come down. Now this is very much, like I said, like a sewing machine. Oh, you need to get in there. What am I missing? You go right in there. All right, I'll deal with you in a minute. I'm going to come down here, up and over, just like a sewing machine. And there's a guide here. And there's a guide here. Whoops, you're getting a face full of hair. And again, I like my little needle threader. I'm going to pull it down just a bit. I like my little needle threader because he makes my life so easy. Now, when I say it's easy, I, just like everybody else, had to learn how to use it. So I did it over and over and over again. And once I did it 3 times in a row, I knew I was good to go. And we'll come on over here and up and over. So as you can see, there are now this, as you can see, the manual threading does take a minute more than the air threading, but once you do it a few times, it is really not difficult. The problem is some of these sergers I've played with more than others. And we play with all of them as educators, but we don't get to play with all of them all of the time. So I'm just going to show you that, yes, you can do it manually as well. And the tweezers do come in handy. All righty. Where are you? All right. So now we've got this threaded. Let's always keep scrap fabric around for the same reason. Because you always want to test. I don't care how well you thread your serger. Even with my air threading sergers, I always test it before I put on my real project. So I always just run over a scrap piece of fabric for just a second. All right. And then we'll do, whoops, I want to be a normal. Where's my, there it is. So even though I had a couple of mishaps, you can see it just sews beautifully. Just so beautifully. And what is nice about this particular model is that it can do the cover hem, it can do chain stitch. And another thing that I like about this one is this does give you a lot of, granted, you do have to manually thread it. So my recommendation is just to sit with it, thread it over and over and over again. There's videos and all kinds of helpful tools for you, but just do it over and over and over again. But it also has an extension table, which you guys know how I feel about those. And this guy will just, can't quite get him in. But this has a nice extension table that goes on. The legs are adjustable, so you can set it up to your needs. So like your table and stuff like that. So like I said, the Husky Lock X21, it is a manual threading. It is manual tension. The user's guide will just walk you right through how to set everything up. It's a lot of bang for the buck because it is a 4-thread with the 5-thread capabilities. And again, it has the waist catcher, the table, the accessories, all kinds of good stuff with it. And if there's any questions about this, I will do my best to answer them. All right. Okay. So, to change from a cover hem to because that is another question. How easy is it to switch from a cover hem? How easy is it to go from that A to B? And that is this little guy right here. So right now he's on an S for serging. If I lower this and I can flip him over for, now he's a C for cover hem. That is it. We change the plate and we change our needles. It's very, very easy. So that is one thing that I personally look for, is how easy is it to switch to a cover hem? That's my main goal. So it is a really, really great little machine, and a lot of bang for the buck. You just have to take some time to bond with the threading. So once you bond with the threading, you're okay. All right. Do we have any questions?
Mickey, I don't see any questions right now.
All right. All right. Is there any questions in general for those of you that have watched the whole soiree? Are there any questions in general now that you've seen all of the different models? I'm not going to be able to pull them all back out, but I can answer questions. Or just questions in general, just general Serger questions. How do you do this? How do you do that? Any questions? Because we've got a few minutes still.
Jana is asking, do you need oil?
Yes. So there is a little diagram where it shows it's just a little teeny drop of oil. And the newer ones have a little arrow with a drop of oiler and a drop. And they do come with a little oil, and the oiling is so minute that this really will last a long, long time, because it really is just a drop of oil. And so they do need oil. The one place on them, on the air threaders especially, that you do not add oil is in those little holes. But yeah, it's just a little drop of oil, and it shows you exactly where to put it.
Okay. Linda's asking, what's your favorite thread?
When it comes to serger thread, so if I'm going to buy these kind of cones, my personal favorite is Maxi Lock, and you can get them from most dealers. But there are other dealers that will carry a different kind of serger. It's on a much longer cone. Those are fine too. Like I said, I hit up my local dealer, and whatever my local dealer carries, that's my favorite brand. So Maxi Lock is good. I did go to the chain stores, and I have bought from the chain websites those bargain, because I pay attention to you guys on Facebook. And so when I see you guys heading down a wrong path, I will buy it and just give it a test. And I always regret it. So stick with high quality. Your local dealers will will be able to help you. And if you don't have a local drivable dealer, just give them a call. And if they're out of your area, just give them a call. Ask them what they recommend and what they carry, and if they'll ship it. Because I know Sewing Machine Plus does. So give them a call. But Maxi Lock is my personal favorite. I've used it for 25 years.
Okay. Is there any question anymore, Kyle? Oh, there we go. Joan, how often do you have to have it serviced professionally?
That is a very good question. And I'm a big fan of the better care you take of it, the less frequent you have to be. So I invested in those little vacuum attachments that a lot of dealers carry. And I highly recommend that, because I went and used my regular hose and I vacuumed it out, and all of a sudden I heard things getting clunked in and sucked in. So there's a reason that they recommend those little sewing machine vacuum attachments. But I dust my sewing machine and my serger every time I use it. And I've shown you, I don't know where I did it. So here's my makeup brush, and I brush it out every time I use it. And when it gets really crusty inside, then I pull out those little attachments and give it a quick dusting. But it doesn't take much to clean it. It doesn't take much to clean it up. What I do recommend is to avoid the condensed air in a can, because that just blows moisture into the machine. So don't do that. I recommend a vacuum. I recommend makeup brushes, all kinds of stuff like that, but stay away from the canned air. All right. Lane.
All right. I think that was it, Nikki.
But to answer the question, once a year is recommended. But because I'm so meticulous, I pretty much go every couple of years. So.
Okay, great.
To answer the question.
All right. Well, Mickey, thank you so much for coming on our Serger Soiree and for day one and going over all the Viking machines. That was awesome. And I'm sure we're going to see you again real soon.
Yep, you will. All right. Thanks again. Bye, everybody.
All right, let's do an overlay. We're going to tell you about this last machine that we had today. This is that Husky Lock S21 Serger. Again, look at that S&P live pricing. It's $1,059. We do have financing available for this. So give us a call at 800-401-8151. Now, all the Sergers you saw today, if you have any questions on any of them, just get on the website, go check them out, or talk to one of the live chat agents on the website. And naturally, you can always give us a call, and we'll try to answer all your questions for you. All right, well, that concludes day one of the Serger Soiree, and we're going to be back here tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be covering all the FOF machines. And I think that'll answer some of the questions somebody had about, the same machine. I think there's some that are very close to being the exact same, so we'll have that. And but hey, Kyle, let's give some stuff away to close out the day, and then we'll see y'all first thing here in the morning again. All right, I think we're going to, since we already gave a SewingMat away, we're going to do a $25 gift card to Sewing Machines Plus. And you can just put, we'll send you a gift card code that you'll use, and you just put it in the checkout and $25 on your purchase. All right, Kyle, spin that wheel. Sharon Swan is our winner, watching today from YouTube. So Sharon, what you need to do to get that gift card is just go to smplive.tv, scroll down toward the bottom of the page where it says claim my prize, fill out all that information complete, hit submit, and once we get that in, we will email you back a gift card code. All right, next up, we are going to give away a Brother P-Touch label maker. These are $130. We're also going to throw in about $100 worth of tape to go in that. And these are really cool because they Bluetooth to any smartphone and act like a printer. And you do all your work in the app on the phone. It makes it extremely easy. So Kyle, spin that wheel. Sue Going McKillop. Well, Sue, I'm sure we're butchering your last name, but sorry about that. But anyway, Sue is our winner. She's watching today from Facebook. So Sue, to claim that prize, you need to go to smplive.tv, scroll down toward the bottom of the page where it says claim my prize, fill out all that information complete, hit submit. Once we get that in, we'll get your P-Touch label maker and all that extra tape sent right out to your doorstep, absolutely free. All righty. Well, that concludes day one of the Serger Soiree. Hey, we're going to be here bright and early again tomorrow morning. We got Foff back in the house, and then don't forget we have Baby Lock on Wednesday and Thursday, and we're going to be covering all the Baby Lock Sergers. We're going to do all the Foff Sergers tomorrow, so y'all make sure y'all join in, and hope y'all have a great rest of your day. We'll see y'all in here tomorrow.